I played the first mission of Modern Warfare 2, and it's very pretty. I gotta say, this game is a very beautiful game. Played just like other Call of Duty games, which was enjoyable, for sure. There's been a lot of controversy about this campaign. IGN gave it a 6, and a lot of people weren't very happy with that, but I see a lot of people saying they like it. Some people thinking it's kind of mid, but the degeneracy begins this weekend with multiplayer. I'm very, very excited. I've got tomorrow night totally planned out for Call of Duty.
I saw something that kind of piqued my interest on Twitter, and it was, I saw no Russian trending. And I was like, what is this? And I saw a cinematic that kind of implies that there might be something, like, I don't know if that's in the game or not, but apparently if it's a 6, it's not really that important, or if a lot of people have a lot of problems with it. But if they do no Russian again, I'm stoked.
Whoa, yeah,
I can't even imagine.
Such a bold move.
That is still, I think, in gaming history, one of the most ballsy things I think I've ever seen come out of a studio.
It's the first time I remember a game telling you something bad was going to happen and giving you the option not to do it, which I don't remember a game ever doing before.
Which apparently they put in the last minute. I remember reading a story about how that was like not originally in the game, and then they were just like, I think it was like in the last minute. You should probably. Yeah,
they probably for a rating or something.
I think it was.
Chris, what is going on with the controversy about this? I'm not been following this.
Oh well, I just think it's a lot of people just aren't. I've just seen pretty low scores for it. Is all I know. Like I think Dustin might know a little bit more, but I just know that the campaign hasn't been hitting as hard as people wanted it to for a lot of people.
What do you review Call of Duty based on? About what it's trying to be? Is it not innovative enough? Whatever. It's really comes down to how the reviewer chooses to review it. This isn't a PlayStation game, but a lot of people have been talking about this Bayonetta 3 Polygon review. If all you care about is button ramming combat that's similar to Devil May Cry, you'll have a ball. But if you ever wanted to believe that there was something deeper to Bayonetta's story, some grander statement about femininity and sexuality and power dynamics, then you'll find the truth to be quite disappointing.
Cool.
So,
shut the fuck up. I'm so sick. I'm so tired. I'm so fucking annoyed with it. This Bayonetta discourse has been so fucking irritating because, like, I remember it was like somewhat recently somebody was tweeting like it was somebody with a verified check mark, which I'm sure doesn't really mean anything, but it was something that that stuck out to me, and I noticed. I have
one. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I know, but it was somebody who was like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't believe straight men are into this. You know, like, oh, Bayonetta is not for straight. Bayonetta is just for like queer people. It's like, and this is like the whole point. And then you go back 10 years when Feminist Frequency was like, everything about Bayonetta's design, mechanics, and characterization is created specifically for the sexual pleasure of straight male gamers and the male gaze. And it's like, make up your fucking mind, or better yet, shut up. Shut the fuck up. This is all nonsense. Bayonetta is cool because it's fun to fucking play, and it also
she has guns on her feet. Like, come on.
And she's half naked the whole time. Are you joking? I can't believe straight men are into this. Are you for real? I don't know what the fuck is going. Also, why is that important? Shut up.
I mean, God, I'm preaching to the choir. I love hearing it.
It's to tie this into Call of Duty. It's just this idea of, I think that you should try to expect games to be something greater, I guess, in some ways, but there's also a line of like, you can't review a game for what it's not in some instances, and this is one of those instances where it's like, maybe they didn't want to tell a feminine power dynamic story. Maybe they just wanted to make a fun game that involves a woman with guns on her feet. Like, I don't know. It's just
I this review is to me an example, especially seeing who wrote it, is an example of someone and just you're in search of a thesis,
right,
that's deeper than what the game is even intending. And that, I think, is interesting, but it can't be the core criticism of the game. That is something else. Saying part of criticism is talking about how a product doesn't fulfill the goal. But the goal is what's vital. And so if the goal is something else in your mind, then you can't qualitatively review the game properly. It's not something that you could, even in the subjective matter of reviews, you can't really put that into words. It's so that's the thing that bothers me about criticism is Mass Effect. To me, a lot of it is about, at least in the past, during the First Contact War and everything, is about human racism. And they go deep into that, right? And not only about that, but about racism towards humans. And that's in the game. So if you then identify that and say, it would be cool if they maybe went a little further with the race stuff or whatever. And that's like a criticism that I can kind of get on board with, because that was part of the intention of their political story. But if you're looking at Bayonetta and you're saying, how does this leather-clad, buxom brunette with her tits hanging out, is attractive to a male audience? That just shows that you're not even focused on the actual product as it is at all. You're doing some academic exercise, which is not. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's something else. That's just my major problem.
I just remember feeling like gaslit by that tweet. Like, why would straight men be interested in Bayonetta? Feels like such an insane question. Also, just I feel like just Bayonetta is just cool for a lot of people. Like, I feel like it's just a universally like enjoyable kind of premise. Like, my brain's like breaking at the scenes when I hate thinking about this. But
one last thing that I just wanted to add to this is that this idea of, there's been a lot of criticism, rightfully so, of this idea of like higher fans, the people that thought Aloy wasn't pretty enough. The people that were critical of that, look in the mirror, because this is exactly the same thing. Oh, Bayonetta isn't what you expected it to be. It isn't fit into this like fantasy that the fans have created around Bayonetta. Like it's the same type of thing. It's just
excuse me.
Chris and I's brains are both melted at this point.
Yeah, I'm so tired of the discourse that because I saw that stuff circulating about Bayonetta, and I'm like, I can't. You get a little bit of a cursory kind of feel for it, and I know exactly where this is going. And the only good news about this is just, and you can just tell, this is ringing true with fewer and fewer and fewer and fewer and fewer people. Every game that comes out, every article that's written, every day that passes on the calendar, these people are becoming more and more and more irrelevant as the musical chairs on the sinking Titanic continues ever inexorably forward, and there are fewer and fewer positions from which to pontificate to us about these various games. So we can at least take some sort of solace in that.